Well, now we can talk to Tony Lloyd, who is the Labour MP for Rochdale. Hi, Tony.
Hi.
Hiya. Your reaction, please, to what's happened at the Cenotaph.
Well, I think I agree with everybody who just spoke in the little resume of people in Rochdale. You know, it's at one level it's childish, but it's massively offensive. You know, in my own family, there were people who were killed and others injured in the different wars. The Cenotaph is a reminder of that service, and to put graffiti on that is, well, as I say, one level childish, but very, very offensive. And I don't know what anybody in the right mind thinks to achieve by it. I don't know the motives of the people doing it, but I can say this. You know, I feel very strongly about what's taking place in the Middle East. The Israeli bombing of innocent Palestinians is, to me, an horrendous series of actions. It is, I think, war crime. But without getting into that, I don't think it helps the cause of bringing peace in the Middle East to offend people in Rochdale, both from whatever community and from whatever background.
I mean, because you have just touched on it slightly there, we know today Labour's defended its position on Gaza after a frontbencher resigned because of its refusal to call for a ceasefire. Instead, the leader, Keir Starmer, is pressing for short humanitarian pauses, you know, breaks in the fighting so aid can be allowed in. Where do you stand on that then?
Well, I've made it clear I've called for a ceasefire, actually, some weeks ago now. There will need to be a ceasefire in the end. There isn't a military end to this campaign. There will have to be a process whereby people sit down and work out what the future is of Gaza. And it can't be Israeli military occupation. It can't be continuing bombing of what in the end are innocent civilians, innocent Palestinians in the middle of all this. So there will have to be a ceasefire. So I think it's quite clear to me that, we want, if you like, humanitarian pause to get aid in, but I don't want a pause to let aid in so that 3 days later the people who've just allowed to get food and water are seeing their children killed once again as the bombs rain down from the skies. So, let's move towards a ceasefire.
Of course. You know, and you've just said there that there has to be a ceasefire. How do you feel then when the leader of your party won't agree with that?
Well, clearly I'm not in the same position as he is, and that's why one of my colleagues, Imran Hussein, has resigned from the front bench.
Has it become very divisive within the party?
Well, people hold strong views, and rightly hold strong views about how to move this forward. Nobody can watch the scenes we see on our TV on a nightly basis without thinking this is absolutely terrible. Every one of us was in agreement that what Hamas did on October the 7th, the murders of innocent Israelis, as well as the other horrors that took place, was brutal beyond the bounds of what you would call ordinary humanity, frankly. But that doesn't justify making war on the civilian population who had no part in that attack. It can't be justified. In terms of numbers, the numbers already are awful. Well over 10,000 killed in Gaza. That's why I will continue to say and call for action that moves us to an end to this military campaign, and a recognition in any case that we will have to get to that point. You can't bomb Gaza forever. You can't destroy the lives of everybody there. And actually, as well, in the end, Gaza will need reconstruction unless this whole process is simply about building the next generation who will feel so brutalised by these actions that they in turn will want to be part of the politics of hate that Hamas represents. There's no future around that.
No, and we've got the horrors going on in the Middle East, and then also what nobody wants is it causing divisions closer to home. And here in Greater Manchester, and things like the graffiti on the Cenotaph don't help that situation, do they? But what will be happening this weekend, actually, to mark Remembrance Sunday? And are you concerned there could be any trouble?
Well, normally the numbers of people, frankly, will prevent, I think, those who are stupid enough to want to disrupt. What I would hope is that, as ever, that there is both a respectful and a respected opportunity for people to have their memories of their own family who perhaps fought in wars. There's some who will remember those who died, as I do. Some who maybe are just there out of a sense of respect. And it's interesting, we'll see young children there, and I think it's important that they learn the destructive level of war, and as we're seeing now in the Middle East. So on all parts, something you said a few moments ago, we don't want the conflict in the Middle East to spill over in tensions in Rochdale or in this country of ours, because what we want in the end, we do live in peace for the most part, and let's make sure that part of that peace is respecting each other and the right to be at the Cenotaph on Sunday in a respectful, respected way. I think is something that almost everybody would agree with.
Tony, thank you very much for talking to me today. That's Tony Lloyd, who's a Labour MP for Rochdale.